Well, good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Prepping for Prosperity. I'm Steve Smith. Hope everything is going well for you in the areas of finance and money and your life, because your life is more than finance and money. It's about living a complete life, a life that is fulfilling mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. I want to get to that here in a minute. So, Dave Ramsey admits he was wrong. It's not funny. I mean, I'm going to read here what went on with this. It's nothing that I haven't said before, and I've said repeatedly. I'm not a fan of Dave Ramsey. I have listened to him just to see what he is saying. He appeals to a group of people who have gotten themselves in serious financial difficulties because he got himself in financial difficulties and declared bankruptcy to get out of it. Okay, I know I'm being a little direct here. It's not that I'm wanting to personally slam the man, it's that I'm wanting to make a point, because there are so many people who seem to live and die according to what Dave Ramsey says. And that is a danger, because you need to think for yourself. You need to understand exactly how finances work, how economics work. But we're going to talk about that in just a second. Read you a few things, and I'll put this. No, I don't have to put it up over on the Patreon channel. I've already put the article that I'm going to be reading from about Ramsey. I've already put that on the Patreon channel for those of you who are with us over there. So you can read it yourself and you can share it with friends. And I think that's important that you share this information with friends. But anyway, just looking through CNBC today, the world is in economic turmoil. We know that. Morgan Stanley shares fell after reporting rising expenses and declining revenues. When the large banks start coming down, you're in trouble. The S&P 500, which it's impossible to beat that, is in a modest uptrend, but low volumes and reduced volatility have traders in a funk. Yes, they do. By the way, I've put a lot of other stuff up there. I should have mentioned this. I put other things up there on the Patreon channel that helps you really get a sense from the experts in the field, that give you a sense of exactly what's going on in the financial world. And it's important to know that. If you're going to take charge of your personal finances, it helps so much to have a good understanding of the larger financial picture. That's why, to a great extent, why we have the Patreon channel. It's kind of a way for me to select those things that I think that would be most helpful to you to understand the larger picture, so that you can do better with your smaller picture, if that makes any sense. Jim Cramer discusses his next moves for the investing club. Anybody that listens to Jim Cramer is almost as big an idiot as he is. Bitcoin and Ether fall as investors weigh persistent inflation and rising interest rates. Yeah, it's all going in the wrong direction. Whether you go in that wrong direction with it is entirely up to you. I want to read this, and this is from The Street. I won't read the whole article, but I'll read the salient points to it, and then I want to talk more about this Ramsey cult out there that is very harmful to many people. And I don't want you to have a cult with me. I want you to think for yourself. I want you to take the information. I'm going to give you information that I know from my experience works. And I didn't make my money from speaking to large church groups and things like that. But I give you the things that will help you to make your own decisions based on increased information, and that's the way it should be. Nobody should be a little lemming following after some Pied Piper who has developed a lot of catchy little cute little sayings and such as that. So I'm going to start this. It says, it's not often that America's grumpy finance dad, Dave Ramsey, admits that he was wrong about one of the tenets he published in his book, The Real Money Makeover. He is grumpy, isn't he? I mean, he is bossy. It's one of the things that set me off about him. He is bossy. He is grumpy. I don't know, I won't even go there. But when an audience member at a recent live taping of the Dave Ramsey Show asked him about the effect of inflation on his suggestions, he admitted that the step was never designed to be enough. Now, he's backpedaling on this, and we're talking essentially about that $1,000, that initial $1,000 emergency fund that he talks about, right? And I have heard callers call in and say, well, my wife's not on board with us, or my husband's not on board with us, doesn't matter. They are against us cutting up our credit cards. And his reply, I've heard him say more than once, well, how would they feel about a $1,000 emergency fund in the bank? And my thought is, as if that answers everything, right? And my thought is, and I covered this about the proper use of credit, well, it doesn't sound very good if I have a $4,000 transmission that needs to be fixed. See? And here is where he's all against credit, because credit's what got him in trouble. And I talk about the proper use of credit, and I might again at the end of this. So now he's updating his advice or giving a caveat. He says, it's enough to buy an alternator or a car tire, but it's not enough to be a real emergency fund. Well, then why do you call it an emergency fund? Okay? Because it sounded cute, right? He says, it's enough to keep the little things from kicking your butt off the get-out-of-debt wagon. Okay, another cute saying. It doesn't really mean anything, okay? Here's the thing. Here's what he said. He says, when we first started this stuff, who refers to their business as stuff? You got to see the little clues in a person, okay? There's like a lot of televangelists out there, to be real honest. When we first started this stuff years ago, I just said, use all your savings, have zero. And that didn't work, honestly, okay? That's what he said. Now, interestingly enough, if you're with us on the Patreon channel, and if you go down and you read the article, and if you're not, please come join us. It's only $5 a month, and it's more information that is going to help you to really, turbocharge your understanding of finances and get yourself going. If you read the article, and I went down and I read some of the comments, and it is just full of Ramsey sycophants that say, he didn't admit he was wrong. His plan works. I've been doing. That's the problem. That's the problem with becoming a groupie. Don't become a financial groupie of anybody. Okay? If they give you advice that helps, good, use that help. But there's a number of people out there who have made their money, made their millions, giving talks, telling people, I know I'm talking here, but this isn't how I made my money, okay? This is giving advice. People who have never done it, okay? Ramsey made his money giving talks. He started out as his church. When he went bankrupt and trying to dig his way out of it, he went to his church and he said, hey, could I start giving lectures here on how to, be a millionaire or whatever? The guy's bankrupt. But his church let him do it. And from there, he built a huge empire by telling people some very questionable things, Tony Robbins is another example. People love Tony Robbins, man. But that guy never really did anything except, he built his fortune out of giving positive thinking talks. If you want advice, listen to people who have actually done something, right? Rather than develop the ability to talk. That's the problem. So he says, let me go back to this again. So they said he didn't admit it was wrong. Well, you admit it right here. I'll read it again. When we first started this stuff years ago, I just said, use all your savings and have zero, and that didn't work honestly. He admitted he was wrong. Ramsey admitted to the audience, before we had the baby steps, I was just hardcore. Well, but Dave, that's when you were giving all your advice to people, okay? I mean, you were trying to dig yourself out of your bankruptcy at your church by giving this advice. I was just hardcore, like you're in boot camp. Shut up, sell everything, use all your money, don't whine, because if you don't get out of debt, none of this will work. Well, that's patently false. There are plenty of people that carry a lot. I'll be real honest with you here. There are plenty of people who carry a lot of debt and are doing excellently. Doing fine. You know why? They're able to service their debt, and they have mechanisms in place that if anything goes wrong, they're going to be able to take care of it. There are certain aspects, and I'm not telling people to go into debt here, because as I have said, credit is good, debt is bad. Okay? The borrower is slave to the lender. That's one thing that Ramsey said that's right. It's from the Bible. But there are proper uses of debt, and debt can actually make you money. Maybe I'll throw a tag on the end of this if I have time and show you exactly how it can do that. We discovered pretty quickly that every little thing that came along that wasn't in their budget would knock them out, and then they would give up hope. So we decided, here's another thing. Here is an arrogance that is found in a prideful person, and it appeals to some people who need a daddy. And you should not do that. He said, so we decided, okay, we're going to give you just a little bit of a starter emergency fund. What? We're going to give you? Okay. So we decided, okay, we're going to give you just a little bit of a starter emergency fund. Now, see, this is another, be careful, watch how people are. I've noticed that, years ago when he first came on the radio, I listened to him a little bit, and I was very put off because he was really drilling people, and then he would say things like, well, what I want you to do is, I want to see this, I want to see, I. Or he would say, well, I'm not mad at you. What does that even mean? What do you mean? You don't have a right to be mad at anybody. See, it's all on how this guy is a guy who is so wrapped up in himself that he thinks that everything revolves around what he thinks you should do. He's not giving advice. He's giving ultimatums. He's giving dictates. I've listened to his programs lately. He's not on there. At least he wasn't on when I was on. His daughter is on there. And she introduces herself as Ramsey Personality. Do you want to take your financial advice for somebody who describes themselves as a personality? And then when somebody called in and was explaining that the only mortgage they could get was a bank statement mortgage, she didn't know what that was? Anybody who is in business for themselves knows what that is. But see, she's never been in business for herself. She's always worked for Daddy. Okay? I didn't mean this to become a Ramsey slam, but it's important to know these things, and these are things to address. Just like I will call out pastors who are way off the beam here. And if there are any Ramseyites out there listening to this, don't get mad at me. Okay? I encourage you, dig deeper into this. Dig deeper. Okay? He's on his baby steps now, but, sometime down the line, he might come around and say, you know what, I realized that the baby steps just weren't working as the way I said and the way that many other people, has already said. So I decided to give you, see, that's the personality. Okay, that's up over there. I thought that was important. And I think I'll keep that how to use debt properly to make money, I'll do a separate one on that because I don't want that to get wrapped up in this. Here's the thing. You all are smart people. I assume that if you're in my audience, you're not here for the cute sayings and the things that rhyme and the old, folksy type of stuff or the bossiness, because I'm just here to give you my ideas. I'll tell you the things that work. And they've worked for me. And I never took bankruptcy. And I didn't make my money by giving talks about things I haven't done. Okay? So if you know somebody who is all about Dave Ramsey, send them this and go over to the Patreon channel and read it. And you can copy and paste that and send it to him. This is what happens so often in the world of finance. People want a quick fix. I don't know how many people I know years ago, they were in horrible financial shape. They all ran out and they bought Dave Ramsey's Money Makeover or whatever it is, and they read it and they became the most vocal disciples of Ramsey you've ever heard. And you know what? You know where they are today? They're still broke. Because they hooked their wagon to a guy who they shouldn't have, and expected that to save them. No, nothing's going to save anybody except themselves, and that is an understanding of finances, of how economics works, being ready for what's coming down the road, and acting responsibly in your finances. How about those things? Don't spend more than you make, right? But understand too, though, that if you follow Ramsey and you don't want credit, it's going to cost you money later on. It's going to cost you when you can't show a good credit score when you want to buy a house. It's going to cost you when you need to buy a car and you don't have, you need something more than the $1,000 that's in your emergency fund. So guess what you have to do? You have to finance the vehicle. Or you may have plenty of cash. There are times, I'll say that I've done it. I have financed a vehicle when I had the cash to pay for it. There are reasons for that. And I'll get into that another time. Anyway, think about this. Be careful who you listen to. And, whatever anybody says, run it through your mind. See if it makes sense. And then educate yourself on these things. And that's why I put the other stuff over on Patreon. Educate yourself. Take the ideas that you get from other people and then run with it. Run with it yourself. And like I always say, build your business, okay? Your financial freedom is in your own business. Well, you all have a good day. Get out there and do something for yourself. You're smart. You don't need me or Ramsey or anybody else to do your thinking for you. I'm happy to be here to give you the ideas and the thoughts and my experiences, and I hope that they help you, and that's the reason that I'm here. So remember, make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure you ring the bell so that you get a notice every time I put one up. Give me a thumbs up if you would. They tell me it helps the algorithm. Share this with people that you think it might help. Think for yourself, act responsibly, and build a future. And the way you build a future is slowly. It's a lot better to get rich slowly than get poor quickly. Okay? You all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.